How low should we be getting our head and upper body on the bike during cornering, and how beneficial is it to get lower and lower? In this video, I want to touch on this particular part of a lot of riders' body position goals, my hope being that it will help make things a little more clear on why we do it, as well as save you some unnecessary discomfort or frustration as you try to improve your current position. I still need to get that little bit lower on the bike. This is something I hear quite a lot, typically from riders who are already displaying a perfectly good body position in a fundamental sense. By that I mean they're not only able to get into a good neutral position visually, but they're able to hit the other requirements of a good position too, things that sit outside of how you look in photos. Exactly why riders still want to achieve lower and lower upper body positions remains to be seen, but I strongly suspect it stems from the extreme standards we see from the guys at the top of our sport. These are the fastest guys, so they set the standard. However, in my experience, a lot of discomfort can come from trying to achieve this standard, a standard that is often misunderstood based on information they may have heard elsewhere. Moving inside is the key. If you've spent any time learning about why we hang off, you no doubt would have heard something to the effect of move lower to lower the center of gravity and reduce lean angle. And this is something I'm sure many of you will be sitting there nodding along with. However, some confusion can creep in because people misunderstand what exactly getting low really means. In terms of reducing lean angle, the goal of a good hang-off position is to move inside the center line of the bike, not to lay down on top of it. It's moving your mass inside the center line and therefore moving the combined bike and rider center of gravity to the inside too that has the biggest impact on the lean angle of your motorcycle. And it's the exact reason why in extreme cases we see riders doing things like this. Here we have Valentino Rossi making every effort to reduce the motorcycle's lean angle during this important acceleration phase by getting as much of his mass inside the center line as he can. And because he's one of the taller guys out there, it makes it look so extreme. Riding in this position comes with drawbacks in terms of bike control, and in high speed corners, increased aerodynamic drag. But the necessity to stand the bike up to this degree outweighs those drawbacks in this instance. Now, I'm not showing you this picture to give you something to emulate, merely to demonstrate how reducing lean angle with the body is actually achieved, by moving inside the center line of the bike, not by laying down on top of it. With all of that said, I'm sure some of you will still be sitting there saying, but look how low Valet is. And that's the exact confusion I'm talking about. He is low to the ground, yes, but that's a natural consequence of moving farther inside a bike that's at high lean angle. Naturally, you're going to move closer to the ground when doing that. What riders often try to do though is move their head and upper body lower in relation to the motorcycle. Or said another way, they try to get their head closer to the handlebar, thinking that it's going to further help their efforts to reduce lean angle. And this is actually a rider I worked with in the past, but while his head position isn't excessively low on paper, at the time he was forcing it as low as possible, which created discomfort and hindered his control for no real gain. And the reason there's no real gain is because moving the center of gravity closer to the contact patches by getting low on top of the bike actually means you need to lean the bike more for a given speed, not less, as Vittori Casalta explains in his book Motorcycle Dynamics. He says, with equal cross sections of the tires, to describe the same turn with the same forward velocity, a motorcycle with a low center of gravity needs to be tilted more than a motorcycle with a higher center of gravity. This basically means that for a given speed and turning radius, a rider sitting upright won't lean as far as a rider laying down on top of the tank, if we assume the same seating position. Now, the difference is minimal, especially if you're on the lighter side, but there is a difference. So why do some of the best guys get really low then? You don't have to look too far to find pictures of riders getting low in relation to the bike and getting their head close to the inside bar. The most obvious cases coming from the young guns in MotoGP, Marc Marquez being a prime case, with people like Maverick Viñales showing similar styles too. The first thing to note is that while he is low on the bike, aside from his outside arm and leg, almost the entirety of his body is inside the center line of the bike, which as we've covered is a key to reducing lean angle. It's the style Maverick adopts to hold his mass on the inside of the bike. He's basically hanging onto the side of it. And that's an important distinction to make. His head and upper body is low as a consequence of him working to get his body to the inside while still retaining a good connection with the bike and a good level of control. So does that mean getting low is good after all? Well, for some of the motorcycling elite, it's clearly a style that can work. I'm sure we can all agree on that. However, for your everyday track rider, the balance of each style, that's hunkering right down on the bike versus sitting a little taller, it starts to fall a little bit too much in the negatives column. Of course, we don't want to ride with completely straight arms, and bringing our head lower is an important part of improving body position and bike control. But riding to the extremes of someone like Maverick Vinales is flat out harder. It's harder to maintain good lower body stability, it's more tiring, it'll likely have a negative impact on your ability to control the machine, and your grip will likely be tighter too. That's a whole lot of negatives for something that offers zero appreciable benefits to the average rider. You simply don't need to put your chin on the bar. Sitting more upright is fine, and it'll be easier to achieve for most. Focus on the fundamentals. If it's your style to hunker down on the bike and ride compact like Maverick and you can make it work, I'm not telling you you're wrong by any means. This video is really for riders who are trying to emulate that style to the detriment of the fundamental principles of a good body position, thinking that they're doing the right thing. And this has become a particular focus point for me because with the riders I work with, I see a lot of people wasting time and creating problems for themselves in an effort to look like the best out there. The basic lesson here is that if trying to force your head lower creates problems for you, I would advise you stay in a more neutral position for greater comfort and control. You can likely experience greater results by sticking with your more conservative position and focusing on other things instead. How do you like to position your head and upper body on track, and is this an area you've struggled with in particular? Tell us about it in the comments down below, and as always, if you like the video then please hit the button and subscribe to the channel for more performance riding advice and guides moving forward. Outside of that, I'll see you in the next one.